Right, I forgot. Fucking Gamergate 2 apparently is gonna be happening.
Thank you, Jason, for the tag. Tag 2, this tweet from Lyle, which reads, Department of Homeland Security funded Take This. Just put out a document demanding that game companies denounce what they're calling Gamergate 2. The attached image showing a tweet from this Rachel person.
Hate, harassment, and toxic behavior have no place in games. By taking direct targeted action in a timely manner, we can mitigate further harm to talented, dedicated folks in games and help prevent additional recurrence of these harmful events. What the fuck? Excuse me?
Saying, hate, harassment, and toxic behavior have no place in games. By taking direct targeted action in a timely manner, we can mitigate further harm to talented, dedicated folks in games and help prevent additional recurrences of these harmful events. And linking to, as mentioned, article over on Take This. So what is takethis.org? Well, they say on their own website, our mission is to decrease the stigma and increase the support for mental health in the game enthusiast community and inside the game industry. Our vision is a game community that welcomes and supports people experiencing mental health challenges and that recognizes the humanity and mental health of game creators. They further say, we normalize mental health challenges and recognize and honor intersectional experiences. We approach change and mental wellness broadly, from empowering individuals to enacting systematic change, focused on leadership and cultural norms and practices. We foster healthy, inclusive community by focusing on collaboration and partnership. And we take an evidence-based approach to our mental health content and programming. Take This is a mental health advocacy organization with a focus on the game industry and community. We provide resources, training, and support individuals and companies that help the gaming community improve its mental well-being and resilience. The organization addresses the underlying conditions that can create and perpetuate mental health challenges, stigma, harmful studio culture, harassment and toxicity, lack of diversity and accessibility, and problematic game and community design. They also claim to be a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
I want to say something, but I'm not going to say anything.
And as Niche Gamer would write about
I'm not
going to
say anything.
As for the government ties to Take This, the Department of Homeland Security at least partially funds the organization.
What?
You can see their disclaimer for yourself here in the text reading. This work is made possible by a grant from the Department of Homeland Security. And so they have this article, as mentioned, that was posted on March 11th titled Responding to Gamergate 2. This seems to be directly related to the recent Sweet Baby Inc. situation, in which gamers have been calling out some of the massive corruption going on in the industry. In my opinion, there is no Gamergate 2 as they're trying to say. There is just, as I simply put, gamers recently calling out the ever-growing corruption in the industry.
Yep.
Particularly the AAA space, with companies becoming more and more predatory in their monetization schemes, their products and their live service offerings, etc., etc. With consultancy firms like Sweet Baby Inc. recently getting criticized more and more for their roles in the increasingly corrupt AAA games industry. Now, these corpos and journalists would love to propagate this Gamergate 2 rhetoric because they can, to be quite frank, grift a lot of money out of that situation. If they have a Gamergate 2 as they seem to want, they'll be able to write all these articles, potentially try and get more donations and funding, and it all comes down to money. And so let's go hop over back to their article responding to Gamergate 2. They say, if you're reading this, you've probably been hearing about what's now being called Gamergate 2. It's the latest targeted harassment campaign within the game industry, and it's aimed at Sweet Baby Inc. And they link here to an article by Kotaku. The very Kotaku article.
Granted, of course, I haven't been following much on like the sweet baby thing, you know, the sweet baby thing, right? And the whole like, but I've been hearing like snippets here and there on it. I kind of want to watch a little bit more videos on this to form like an opinion, on this, because so far I've been hearing like complete negativity on it. Like they've been forcing, like, you know, freaking game companies or so to be more diverse and whatnot, like forcing diversity basically. So
I was recently criticized.
Yeah, I've only heard a
by
few
many people
things
all over the internet and all over the world. To be quite frank, many people from many different countries talking about how this article is extremely misleading and divisive and not accurate at all in talking about the situation, and rather it's just running a defense for the corpos over at Sweet Baby Inc. Which, by the way, as I pointed out in some of my segments talking about Sweet Baby Inc., they themselves, their executives, have said some very bigoted things about people, including black people, Jewish people, white people,
What the fuck?
And Take This claims to care about the mental health of people, yet here they are, apparently defending Sweet Baby Inc., which is a very bigoted, corrupt firm. Anyways, back to back to Take This article. So, after they link to Kotaku, they say, a Montreal-based narrative development studio, in regards to SBI, Sweet Baby Inc., saying, the campaign has also been impacting entities and games associated with Sweet Baby, journalists covering the issue, and others associated in various ways with the targets. You also may be at a loss, to know how to talk about this issue and what, if anything, you can do about it. That's where we come in. Discord, Steam, and X have been predominant platforms where the abuse and harassment has been taking place. In these spaces, lists of game studios, companies, and associated organizations are being circulated for targeting by members of the mob.
No, it's because they make shit games. That's why. You know, if their games aren't great, you know, it is what it is, you know? Even Ackman and Hell's Babyface were fighting over Sweet Baby Inc. They were fighting over it? Like, what were they fighting over? Hey, Lucifer, how you doing there, hun? Welcome to the streamer. So, my name is Sunako Nyaru. I'm a Nyaru VTuber and also #1 Tummy Mommy. Hello, greetings. I was standing a lot. Ah, I see.
The lists are literally just informing people about the involvement of SBI and saying like, yo, you might not want to buy this if you don't want to support SBI, which again is a very corrupt, bigoted firm, as I've pointed out. And we'll
try character.ai. What are you talking about there, Lucifer?
Continue to point out because it's very important to point that out. Why are they defending this? It's really weird. Anyways, continuing. Large-scale harassment. Actually, we know why they're defending it, right? It comes down to money, as mentioned, but they'll never admit that. Continuing. Large-scale harassment campaigns like this fuel and are fueled by political events.
Just search it. I don't know what that link is, so I'm not gonna click on it. So you're a new chatter, so you know.
Political rhetoric heats up ahead of the U.S. presidential election later this year. This kind of online activity is
I had someone try to make me get banned on Twitch because they decided to post a link or so in the chat. So, and they were new chatters.
Ramp up, and it's important to understand that these phenomena are interrelated. Wow, the gaslighting there is absolutely insane. So people will lie right to your face and gaslight people and manipulate people and then claim to care about mental health. Yep. As scholars and journalists have noted, the targeted harassment, hate, and cultural norms that were at the heart of Gamergate in the mid-2010s never went away. People in game spaces, especially marginalized developers and content creators, face hate and harassment daily. In fact, research conducted by Take This has outlined an entire spectrum and a typology of extremism and dark.
Character AI is like chatting with AI. However, it's spelled character, not character. I see. Yeah, but I don't really want to chat with an anime AI at the moment, so I don't really want to chat with an anime AI, thank you. So
participation in games that is bigger.
That's not the main topic that we're talking about right now. So
it can be scary or uncomfortable to think about, to talk about, and to understand. In overwhelming situations, it's not unusual to feel at a loss or to have thoughts of helplessness, but there are things we can do to mitigate the harm. And so they go on to list various ways that people can help others who are currently dealing with harassment. And to be quite frank, you know, that's not bad. That's fine and fair enough. The issue going on here is like in the next part, the next paragraph here for industry leaders, they continue to propagate this whole like Gamergate rhetoric. And they're not addressing the issue at large, which is the various corruption involved with these industries. And again, they're completely ignoring like the bigoted things that Sweet Baby Inc. has said, because they apparently seem to care about bigotry, right? So why do they ignore it when it's coming from a consultancy firm like Sweet Baby Inc. if they genuinely care about calling that stuff?
Shut up, Dark. Okay. All right, buddy. You have jokes. What's the topic today? The topic is about the apparently Gamergate 2 is gonna be becoming a thing apparently, and it's a whole Sweet Baby, basically the corruption in the video game industry. So I haven't really been keeping up with this specific topic specifically, so I do want to keep watching more videos to be informed a little bit more, which I'll definitely cut the video at the end of this and then watch a little bit more and then watch the final, I think I know which video I want to take a look at that'll explain it in more detail.
Out and stopping it it makes it seem disingenuous. It makes it seem like it's, once again, all about the money. Like, for example, Sweet Baby Inc. was concerned about their finances being impacted in a negative way, with people saying they don't want to buy games associated with SBI, with Sweet Baby Inc. And now we've got this message allegedly from the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc.'s LinkedIn account, in which they actually talk about reaching out to journalists to cover the situation. And as we know, a lot of the articles that have come
For the past 4 months, my company's Sweet Baby Inc. has been targeted by a far-right harassment campaign / conspiracy theory. This is a tough situation for me. My co-founder Kim Blair, our entire team, and our collaborators, more than the frustration caused by the harassment and the precautions we're putting in place as a result of that. The toughness comes from the fact that this entire campaign is based on misinformation. Misinformation so wild and left field, or right field, I guess. What? Okay. I don't know why you have to put like in parentheses for right field or so. Also, thank you for the follow, Lucifer. Thank you. Since you followed, because I always do this to every new followers, of course. You can never ever leave the outer realms. Well, hello, greetings. I hope you enjoy your stay here. My name is Nyaru. I'm a Nyaru VTuber and also #1 Dami Mommy. Hello, greetings. Anyways, back to the topic or so. Hey, new guy, your name is mad familiar though. Let's see. That's impossible to even engage with it to combat it. So we spoke with press to clear things up about exactly what we do and how we do it. Adding our voices to this conversation felt necessary because what is happening to us is something that has happened before in this industry and will happen again. It happens to not just us, but also to
come out about the situation have been extremely manipulative and dishonest. That recurring theme continues here, where David says, for the past 4 months, my company, SBI, has been targeted by a far-right harassment campaign /
welcome,
conspiracy
Lucifer.
theory.
Welcome.
So
Hope you enjoy your stay here,
Out as like a far-right
I'm a pretty
situation,
calm, chill
when a lot
VTuber.
of people all over the political spectrum have been calling out this
static
corruption.
VTuber,
You got people on the left who've been calling it out,
type of
people who are
VTuber,
apolitical calling it
I'm
out.
a nice laid
and yes,
back
also
kinda
people
type,
on the right calling it out, but them simply being on the right does not alone make them far-right.
Crane, I know you're
And
not
insane
new.
conspiracy
Stop
theory,
saying that every
which is very
single time.
interesting because the majority of people in this situation have been criticizing the very
Crane is not a
things
new
that
person,
SBI
okay?
has said
All right.
on their various posts, on their own website, and even on record on video. So it really seems like SBI and their Corbo buddies are desperately trying to paint a narrative that is just not true. We've already seen various journalists attempting to lie about the situation and manipulate others about the situation, and that narrative has largely failed. While some people did fall for it, the majority of people all across the political spectrum have seen the dishonesty of those articles, and they have largely backfired. And so now they get increasingly desperate, trying to paint this out as Gamergate 2, trying to escalate the situation even further, doing everything except addressing their own bigotry and corruption. Guess I'll leave it there. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this segment, please consider liking.
Okay. I know that there's another video that I want to take a look at, which is from Some Ordinary Gamer, because Some Ordinary Gamer kind of explains it in more like in-depth detail and whatnot for the Gamergate thing. I mean, not the Gamergate thing, but the Sweet Sweet Baby Inc. Is awful. So I want to take a look at it. So I want to know.
Hello,
I need to know.
guys and gals. Me, Mudahar. How's it going? Today we got to talk about something known as Sweet Baby Inc. Now, I've been seeing this fly around on the internet for a fair bit, and ladies and gentlemen, it's been all over the internet, blowing up. I've seen it in my comments section.
Yeah.
And obviously, pertaining to gaming, I wanted to give a chance and actually talk about this a little bit. But before we get into it, I wanted to bring up the sponsor for today's video, me, Mudahar. And not just me, Gamer from Mars, Oompaville, and Chris Cole. Not buying 60 products to put on my face and following a ritual, okay? This is not American Psycho. And I can say that kind of stuff because I own the goddamn company. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Sweet Baby Inc.
Here we go.
Now, of course, this is a Steam group
He's
that
having a
you're
funny
seeing right
face.
here. Sweet Baby
He
Inc.
does.
SBI Detected.
SBI
and if you look at
Detected.
SBI Detected over here, the reason why we're talking about this company in particular is, ladies and gentlemen, it is growing massively. So right now it has 178,000 100,000 followers right now. This is the perfect example of the Streisand effect, and I'll get exactly why. If I hit F5, that number grows harder and harder and harder. So to go over the overview here is obviously this company is for letting people know if a game is involved with this company. So obviously I wanted to go exactly and research what is Sweet Baby Inc. So if you go to Sweet Baby Inc., they're founded in 2018 as a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video game industries.
Yeah, but you don't need diversity in like almost every single game. Like remember, like in The Witcher 3, right? There was this big controversy in The Witcher 3 that there was like no black people in it, you know. But I'm like it's like based in a specific Europe, you know. It's like it's made from a Polish studio, you know. So it's just kind of like I was like the relevancy for that one is kind of dumb.
I am the most schizo person in this stream. Chat reflects the streamer.
Okay. All right, buddy. Okay, Crane.
We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. So it's one of these narrative consulting firms where basically, you know, writers or game companies, AAA stuff will usually end up going to just so they can get a better idea of how to make their games more diverse or more inclusive, right? You know, adding in characters that are people of color or, you know, multiple different types of, unrepresented minority groups that may exist. That's
Okay. Okay, that's a little bit weird.
kind of the general vibe and the mission statement you're getting out of this.
That's kind of weird.
There were some posts from the actual people associated with this company that are actually against the concept of inclusiveness, but we'll get to it in a bit.
What?
So if you look at some of their projects, they've worked on really big stuff like Alan Wake 2, a game I enjoyed. They tell you exactly that they worked on the character arc, voice, and the sensitivity reading. I wish they could get a little bit more verbose about it, but of course, games like Sable, where they worked on the writing and character voice. And I've seen this game in the market. I've played it a few times.
Yeah, I haven't beat Alan Wake 2, so I do definitely want to beat. I do want to beat Alan Wake 2.
Deck actually kind of trying to chew through it. You've got Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok. But obviously I want to look at more of their projects. So if we actually go over here, you can see that they've worked on absolute bangers like this, okay?
We worked on the script writing, the banter, the cutscenes, the barks, audio logs. So they're the ones who made Suicide Squad. They were basically the ones who were involved with the Suicide Squad. Diversity is good. Can't wait to beat up white man in black with shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they worked on the script writing, the banter, cutscenes, barks, audio logs, etc. Yeah, the game is crap, but I don't think it's necessarily crap for the writing. I mean, I've seen the Batman dying scene at the end.
Yeah.
Which is, oh boy, ooh,
yeah.
that's bad. But ladies and gentlemen, I think what I'm getting out of this is that game just sucks because it's a crappy live service pile of nonsense. And of course, they've worked on the proofreading and additional writing for the Crew Motorfest. Dog, it's a racing game. What are you doing?
Fuck?
Now, obviously, there's a amount of gamers that don't necessarily enjoy forced diversity, equity, and inclusion in their games. Okay, and regardless,
Yeah, I don't like it being forced either. I like it to happen naturally. You know, I don't want it to be forced. You know, I've never had a problem where like, oh, why isn't there a fucking where, because I'm Nyarlathotep, right? Where the fuck is my Lovecraftian freaking race, huh? Where I don't feel offended, you know.
of what your stance is on that being pandered to or whatnot. At the end of the day, we're going to be looking at some of the people associated with this company making some rather crass statements that go against the idea of inclusion. Again, inclusion means all of us get along. and we necessarily put everyone inside the big bubble we call a melting pot,
Yeah.
and we don't try to exclude anybody regardless of what,
Kuro shall return to the shadows now. Bye bye. All right, Kuro, take care, hun. Be safe. Thank you for coming by as always. Very much appreciated. So you take care, hun. You're always welcome to come by at any time, hun. All right? You take care. You take care. Be safe.
whatever racial orientation or whatever they have going for them that they can't necessarily control, right? We don't get born into the world with a character creator. But
True.
God, if we did, I'd be looking like my Ark Survival character, okay? Anyways, let's get to the magical fun here. So because this Steam group was made,
If I had a character creation thing, I think the one thing I would probably do is like change probably like the way how my hair is, that's about it. So
account, the narrative designer for Sweet Baby Inc. decided to signal boost and cause the Streisand effect, where by actually blowing something up and trying to, push people away from, you actually bring it to more eyes than it initially would have ever been to. So this account says, the Steam creator harassment group, Sweet Baby Inc., detected is led by this person, Cabrutus Rambo. Here's them trying to be slick so they don't get reported. Even with the discriminatory language filed off, the group itself still fails the code of conduct. And of course, they keep saying, hey, report the fuck out of this group. And of course, when their account actually ended up getting protected, they actually said, hey guys, they got my ass. I guess a few hundred gamers reported me, where they actually ended up getting locked on X because, again, some of their posts were obviously not cool. It was incitement of actual harassment. Now, obviously, whatever this Steam group is and their disdain for this company, it doesn't necessarily warrant harassment. What they did was basically create a list of games that they found were actually connected to Sweet Baby Inc. Now, some of these were kind of misfires. I think Starfield was listed inside here, but I don't think that has an actual connection. But obviously, games like the Crew Motorfest, anything listed on their website and on Steam, obviously, they put into a list. And the gamers who were interested in this, who wanted to boycott, basically knew what to boycott in this situation. Right? And that's generally what it was, right? Like, people did not want any game associated with the writing works that these people were involved in, right? That's pretty much what the general idea was.
wait, so you're telling me, if I'm getting this correctly, right? So the person who makes the writing for the game, the way how they wrote it, right? They have to take that script to Sweet Baby Inc. to to force and change narratives or so to fit the inclusivity. Is that what I'm like understanding? Is that what this basically is? Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know about the Saints Row. But I assume this is what it is, right? That the writer or whoever made, let's say for example the writing or so for Suicide Squad, right? Let's say for example he wrote it in a specific manner, right? So I assume they had to take the script over to Sweet Baby Inc. and then they had to change it to add inclusivity, will force the inclusivity in the game itself. Is that what basically is what I'm like understanding? Question mark. I feel like that's what I'm under, like the way how is he explaining it is like that's what I'm understanding,
And again, if we're talking about boycott lists, those are not harassment lists, okay? There was no harassment necessarily from at least what I've researched on this group being directed towards anybody, right? Obviously, people started to dig in to the individuals who worked for Sweet Baby Inc., at least the public-facing figures, when they started to actually get attacked by this company. Based on the actual person tweeting we just read, the opening salvo seems to have started from these people who wanted a mass reporting of the Steam group. Now, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there isn't a little bit of a political bias in this group to some capacity.
Oh,
in fact,
great.
one of the actual posts was real journalists, okay? Why the famous gaming media don't see this problem? Your opinion. Because 90% of them are activists of the very woke kind, and from Gamergate, we know they all collude with each other in WhatsApp groups to push narratives and articles in uniforms. The communists have infiltrated most news media and get their narratives from unknown, unseen, dark sources. There are a handful of news sites still fighting back. Daily Wire, PragerU, you can see exactly what alignment you're kind of getting over here with at least some of these posts. Obviously, not everyone in this group is of one alignment, but, you know, I've seen a lot of posts over here that are that are wild, right? Had a nightmare that I was a SBI employee. Makes me wish Freddy Krueger was real. The illness, the fragility, and the smell. Don't even get me started on the smell. Yeah, I understood that reference. Your avatar has pink hair. Just thought I let you know. Yeah, I think I'm getting what I think I'm getting what they're putting down here. But again, the games that they were listing over here, if you're actually looking at the store page for the games, they obviously pointed out games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where they obviously linked it through actual features on their website, for instance, and so on and so forth. So again, they're not recommending any game associated with this company because of its, you know, the DEI practices. So without actually listing any hard evidence of, I guess, harassment that this group was doing, what effectively happened was the people, you know, who worked for Sweet Baby Inc. ended up causing the Streisand effect and raising more awareness for this group. So obviously the people that are interested in this, that don't want the DEI practices in their game, know a list, and that's pretty much how Steam curation lists work anyways. Again, it's kind of funny how, like, you claim one side is harassing, but then you also end up doing the mass reporting and harassing in a way yourself. There's nothing inherently wrong with people compiling a list of games they want to boycott. If a market force wants to boycott products, it's totally well within their rights to do so. Now, when I started this video and I talked about, of course, this is a company that's focusing on inclusion, I think inclusion is great, right?
Yeah.
But when you're looking at a company like this, where their whole, you know, shtick is that, it's pretty bad when some of the people behind it are making rather uninclusive statements. So let's actually read some of this stuff real quick. So one of the people who works for consulting for Sweet Baby Inc., who is Lego Butts, all right, this individual, known as Maya, for instance, has been making some rather wild posts anyways. So if you actually look at some of their posts, this is from Archive Today, meaning that you can grab this link right here, all right, Alt-Control-Copy, and you can basically just drop that into your URL bar, and you can actually read these as actual statements.
I usually get grossed out when straight white rich people kiss, but even I think those two are pretty cute. What the fuck? Is that Uki Violetta? Is that Uki Violetta's alternative account or something? What? 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 Okay. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. This is another person that's literally talking about, like, white people kissing each other. Like, yeah. What's wrong with people? What do you guys have an issue with, like, white people kissing? What's wrong with you guys? Like, seriously, what? Why does that seem to be the topic that I always see the most? It's like, oh, white people kissing, you know, blah 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 blah. I'm like, what's going on here?
Right here. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm showing you these archive posts is to show you that these were actually made. Again, there's a lot of screenshots floating around, and whenever I cover topics like this, I always try to get to the absolute source and truth of the matter.
Yeah.
So this individual started writing things like, I usually get grossed out when straight, white, rich people kiss, but even I think those two are pretty cute. Now, that's so a weird thing to be writing. Again, when it comes to a lot of these diversity firms, it often feels like everyone...
Hey, JX, how you doing there, hun? Welcome to the streamers. So, my name is Sunako Nyaru. I'm a Nyaru that VTuber no number one zombie mommy. Hello, greetings. Welcome.
One is totally okay, but anytime you bring somebody, you know, from the Caucasian side, suddenly it's okay to demonize one group. I don't think inclusion can exist when people start excluding one group of people. That's just weird. You know? Yeah,
it's so weird. Sorry about that. It's so weird that, like, people say, like, oh, we're so inclusive and stuff like that. But then they shit talk about white people. I'm like, I'm like, what? Like, what the hell is that? Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. Like, that's not being inclusive. That's just being a racist at that point, you know? Like, I'm like, God damn, dude. Jesus Christ. These people are so weird sometimes. Viva la revolución? What do you mean? What revolution? What revolution are you doing?
In a perfect world, and again, I know the world isn't perfect. I'm not a fucking naive idiot.
Yeah.
I wish we all did get along, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I think inclusion and diversity is great, but it has to be applied equally, and starting to demonize one group and putting up the rest is never going to bring us on a path closer to each other. If anything, all that does is instill division. Anyways, preachiness aside.
Of course.
Then you found this one right here. Pay me to shoot down your white male lead game ideas. Oh, that's...
What the hell? Okay, all right then.
That's cute. That's wild. Now again, these were back in 2014, but when you're talking about, you know, consulting for this kind of stuff, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Then of course, you had one. I had a nightmare that I was a white male gamer.
What? What? Why? It's so random. Okay. All right. Oh, goodness gracious me. Wow.
Dude, there's people in war-torn countries right now where that's like a good dream. That's like a perfect dream on a somewhat like decent day. Man, you live a very privileged, sheltered life if that's the case. So this one is a screenshot. I hate to be rude, but what's the point in talking to you anymore? Me on Twitter to men every day. Seems like this person doesn't like guys that much. 50% of the world is bad.
I guess so. I guess they just don't like men, I guess. I guess they probably would have had a terrible relationship or so, and you know, their boyfriend broke up with them, you know. Maybe she just has very poor taste in men, you know.
Now, of course, at some point you get some pretty bad posts, and this is one where it's to a Marxist dog aboard all the
What?
Ooh, God's chosen people, I guess. That's whoa, that's pretty bad. And of course, I tried to find the actual origin point of this, the context. Post is unavailable, but it's funny that this tweet was violating X's rules against violent speech. I mean, no shit.
Jeez.
And then, of course, what's even wilder is this one right here. Okay, I don't even know if I can read this. At 20, yo, hotshot. No, but the statement when I grow up made me feel like a giant... Ooh, PDF file. Ooh, that's bad. Shut up, Jamie. I know I am. And again, I tried to get the context to this, but seems like the account owner limits whoever can view that.
Wow.
Wildness. So yeah, these were some of the posts that were made. But of course, one of the mission statements that was posted by an account known as Learning the Law said, we have to look at story and narrative as one of the things that we can innovate on. Like when you bring someone in from a different culture, from a different background, from a different gender, they're going to create something that we haven't seen before. The way we look at demographics is that we go, okay, the majority of our player base is, let's say, a white male. So we're going to make stuff for white males. But if you make something from the perspective of an Asian trans woman, and it's really strong, then it will work for people. People crave new stories. And if you want to innovate, even to stay current, it's not about graphics, it's not about hardware, it's about opening up new perspectives for people. So I explain it as is. It's important to game development to diversify. It's not just part of advocacy or activism, it's going to make your games better. Alex, also, of course, gamers are mostly white guys. If you're making games for...
So there's more white people that play video games? Probably, I don't know. But I think it's just like, aren't there like a bunch of different types of guys that play video games, you know? I guess everyone's white, I guess. You know, mostly everyone is white, I should say. Mostly everyone is white, apparently.
White guys, try making games for somebody else. Maybe they'll show up. You know, maybe those people will show up, right? But I think for most people, when they're looking at this, it's important that multiple perspective exists, right? A multiple perspective can lead to new game stories that you probably haven't heard of before. But for them to say it's going to make your games better, again, I don't know how you're going to sit down and necessarily make the gameplay better by going down this aspect of forced diversity, forced inclusion, and whatnot. And again, forced inclusion is me just kind of assessing it for myself. It's a little bit bad faith that I say that, but again, generally, it's cool to get different perspectives. Look, some of my favorite games have been characters that I guess these people would call POCs. One of my favorite games is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, a game that has a black character, a black protagonist, Carl Johnson. It's obviously, that race is designed because it's a game that takes place in 90s, a parody 90s Los Angeles gang-ridden world, where obviously it's rife with, African Americans, Hispanics, and obviously that is a world where you start off as a gangster, but Carl opens up as a character that's pretty empathetic towards his family, somebody that wants something better in life. He's proven to be quite intelligent when he can organize entire heists in Las Venturas. Play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Great title.
I played it before.
That's just one example of, a diverse or a minority character that isn't shoehorned into a video game, and it's a different perspective.
That wasn't really my type of game,
That's
though.
kind of what we're going with. Whatever writing that these people did for games like, the Kill the Justice League nonsense that dropped, obviously that's never going to work. But they obviously did work on things like God of War. They worked on Alan Wake 2, which from what I've played are pretty decent games. Again, I think mileage kind of varies in the situation. But reading those tweets that I did not too long ago, that kind of rhetoric, that kind of discussion only serves to divide people around them. And that's one of the reasons why this boycott is actually occurring and why gamers are not comfortable with a company like this. And it's understandable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Without the context, I can't exactly confirm this story, but when you read things like, I just had a thought about trying this again with the photo of a young white person about to be ripped open, but I'm betting folks would immediately flag it as traumatic, and I'm guessing the image would get taken down before responses accumulated. I feel like these people are plants by like the CIA to just divide us as human beings against each other. Like this kind of shit, who writes this stuff and feels goddamn normal? It's just unhinged. Like, what?
It is.
What are you doing? So some of the other clips that people were linking out was from a GDC talk in 2021.
Wow.
Now You See Me: Representation as Innovation. And of course, it's a 29-minute video, and there's a couple clips in it that kind of struck people out of context a little bit, or struck people out of the blue. Listen to some of these.
Change and something that is locked in place. So something that does not want to change and something that is locked in place. So despite like the changing face of audiences, despite the changing face of conferences like this one, we still look at our core demographics and say, okay, they're white, cis, hetero males. And we cater almost exclusively to them. And the problem is that we don't just cater to them like, here's something that we think you'll enjoy. We cater to them the way that we cater to like a picky baby. We feed them the same thing that we know that they love, and we keep on feeding it. We're like, here you go, you love it, eat this, eat this, eat this. So that then when they get anything else, they react as a picky baby would, which is be like, oh no, thank you, I do not want this. And we've actually done this so long that what we're doing is creating an entire nation of picky babies. And
so this clip right here,
No comment. No comment.
is kind of wild. Like it's again, I think the big problem is if you're like a normal person and you look at shit like this, specifically isolating the whole white cis hetero male crowd, which again would probably be like a mass majority of video gamers, because yes, back in the day, I'm sure that was the only demographic that started jumping in to a pretty expensive hobby. I mean, gaming, in my opinion, used to be way expensive back in the day. So maybe that was kind of the roots of it. And obviously she's kind of going into this topic like, hey, maybe we catered to them so long that after a while, that's just all they ever wanted. Now, to understand in this situation, right, to kind of debunk and discuss this point, I don't appreciate the idea of like, again, isolating one group of people. Inclusion can never happen when you're excluding one group of people right over here. And I do understand her point right here as well. I remember when GTA 6 was announced, and even during the leaks when they had like Lucy as a female character, there was a few people going, is Grand Theft Auto fucking woke now? Do they got a woman in the game? Women commit crimes? How is that possible? Yeah, let me tell you right now, you might not think that a woman can commit a crime, but once you get access to a 9mm in your hand, everyone is a great equalizer, right? That's pretty much how it works. And look, at the end of the day, my whole stance on this is the game isn't out yet. Obviously, if the game comes out and there's a lot of tropes in it that are going to make you groan, if there's constant, parts in GTA 6 where, Jason, the white protagonist, is going to be shit on, like if they have blatant performative talks like that, and we all know what we're talking about with blatant performative stuff, right? Like if they're generally going to shit on him, make him like a total, complete dumbass imbecile, while Lucia is basically running the entire show. They specifically constantly reference that she is the more intellectual of the other one, and this guy is basically dependent on her, and he basically, bends over backwards for this. Yes, we can all pretty much say that that's a shitty written script. But until the game comes out, nobody has any idea of the situation. Anybody that does offer the overreaction, I think most of the gaming society definitely makes fun of them and criticizes them, rightfully so. I get what she's trying to say, but again, it all falls flat when you're actually excluding people as an inclusive company. Like, you're supposed to bring people together, and that includes the people that the gaming industry was, I guess, initially catering to. Of course. It's okay to have diversity and inclusion and shit like that, but constantly doing and having these talks is not good. I cannot take you seriously as an inclusive company when you're actually excluding a group of people off the bat.
And there's like a dozen other answers that are all like variations on those themes. But kind of like a pseudo fun fact about me, that's slightly fun, is that I actually have a marketing degree. And so I want to put on that, to completely go just give up, we've screwed it. But I think it's still amazing that I can be seated in a meeting and told that out of 12 characters, we already have one black one, so there can't possibly be a second. I get that way too much. And I once worked on a project where they had an all-white cast, and they expressed their desire, okay, we need to mix it up a bit. How about this character's kind of stereotypically French? So they have a beret, and they have a striped shirt. And I was like, okay, if you need to do that, can we at least make them a person of color? And they said, oh no, that would be weird. They're already French. So I want to do better than this.
See, the whole idea, and the whole idea isn't about let's make that character, let's make that character like a different race or something. I think the idea was that she was trying to counter the person that was going bro, but they're French. French people are just supposed to be whites anyways, right? Especially in 2024, it's also another melting pot society. There's French people that look like me. They talk in French, but they look like me. I think what she should be hammering is, if you want to talk about good fucking writing, probably don't write a stereotypical French character that would be out of Looney Tunes back in the day, okay? With the beret and the cigar in their mouth. Dog, Nostalgia Critic made this joke over a decade ago.
And again, to elaborate on this point, I really do believe that when I talk about, obviously, a good, well-written character, obviously her example of the French character, clearly, that was a stereotypical character. Wear a beret, smoke, eat a baguette. And I'm sure everyone can laugh at that. But when I think of a well-written character, no matter what their nationality is, no matter what their racial background is, as an Indian person, would I love to see an Indian character represented in a modern, AAA game? Sure, absolutely. Who wouldn't, right? That would be fun to see. But I'm more interested in a well-written character. I don't like, obviously, seeing myself represented just for the sake of diversity. Obviously, that level of pandering only serves to infuriate people like me and everyone around us.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me as well. I just want well-written characters. I don't need to be pandered. Just me specifically myself, right? It's just it's just whatevs. As long as the character is good, I'm gonna enjoy the character. I don't care about the color of their skin, as long as they're written good, and they make me feel, they make me care about them. Then I'm gonna be like, oh man, this is, I don't care. It's just, I don't know, okay.
And it doesn't really give gaming that mature look that it needs. Now, when I say well-written, well-meaning characters, I really do mean characters that have depth to them. Going back to that CJ example that I had with San Andreas, or Samus Aran, characters that have actual intrinsic characteristics, characteristics of their personality, of their humanity, that is more than just what they're born with, right? I think in reality land, people are more than the sum of their intrinsic characters, right? As an Indian person who was raised in Canada, my life experiences, my culture, my beliefs, what happens when my synapses fire are different than another Indian person out there. Obviously, if I was to see myself represented in a game as some blatant stereotype, obviously it's going to kind of aggravate me or whatever. And so when firms like this exist, I think at best it's when, hey, they're actually out there to write well-meaning human characters, right? But obviously looking at their past tweets and some of the people's past statements, it really feels like, again, there is a divisive rift in there, right? Like, again, you can't have inclusion when you are actually demonizing or chastising people of one specific race over the other, right? We've made a lot of progress, right, in civil rights and in race relations in like the last several decades. And to see these people kind of have like an elementary view of that, of human beings and the interpersonal relationships we have, I think that's what insults the vast majority. And are there people that obviously are like, I'm not going to play that game because I don't like that character and their skin color? Yeah, we make fun of that, okay? We call those people idiots. Giving them any form of like validity or even thinking about what they say is just feeding a troll. But yeah, when I talk about well-meaning characters, that's literally what I'm on about.
Now, the reason why people were looking into this company as well too is that there's been a bit of a link to something known as ESG. Now, obviously,
ESG?
why would a big AAA publisher or like indie games or like a company outsource to some people like this, or a company that works in diversity, so to speak, or inclusive writing? And that's because of something that is known as ESG. So to give you an idea, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, this is a term that is used, DEI, and of course it has a link to something known as ESG. So for instance, when it comes to dog whistle diversity, right, this is actually a criticism of the situation. What it effectively happened was dog whistle diversity is defined as the hiring of groups, and you can, I guess, replace that with, I guess, inclusiveness of different groups for video games, who have historically been underrepresented or subject to discrimination by organizations for the social aspect of environmental, social, and corporate governance, which is known as ESG. To investors and stakeholders, hiring these groups sends a coded message that the organization is more open to a diverse workforce. But to the groups hired, it suggests the organization lacks effective diversity management or inclusion. So obviously it's just designed to be window dressing, right? Like if you write these inclusive stories for investors who are putting money into these big game companies, they'll think, oh yeah, this is a pretty progressive, like, sustainable, thoughtful company. We'll put money into it. But for the people that are being represented, POCs, people like me or whatever, right? Like if you just write a generic Indian person for the sake of hitting that check mark, it's not really going to do much for me in the grand scheme of the social issues and the social awareness I want to raise about my kind out there. It's just designed to be window dressing for, corporate points. And so the link that it has, ESG, there's actually a definition on Investopedia about this, right? So ESG, for anybody that doesn't know, is an essential tool for investors to assess the company's sustainability and ethical performance. Ethical performance being the more important thing over here because we're talking about diversity, right? Which is the S in the ESG score. So an ESG score is kind of like, the best way to put it is like, you know how you have a credit score, right? Like, this is how good I am financially in the world. What an ESG score is, again, it evaluates for how effective a company is, 0 to 100, on environmental issues, social issues like labor practices, pro-diversity efforts, human rights, community relations, health and safety, governance issues. On a surface level, it's not necessarily the most evil thing in the world because it's just a score that shows you, like, hey, these companies are relatively good, ethical companies, all right? Hey, this is a weapons manufacturer that pretty much employs some of the worst practices around the world, and their entire business is dedicated to, like, creating weapons of mass destruction, so to speak. They probably get a low ESG score. Versus like a company that I guess is historically or traditionally doing good in the eyes of these organizations, and they get, I guess, a good score. And obviously there's a few ESG rating companies, kind of like the Equifax of this entire situation. So this is like the Bloomberg ESG, the Dow Jones Sustainability Indexes, the Sustainalytics, Refinitiv, S&P Global, CDP scores, so on and so forth. So for instance, if you want to look up like the ESG score of a company like, I don't know, Apple, for instance, right? A trending ticker at the moment. What you do is you go to like the Yahoo Finance website, you go to the sustainability tab, and you can see that this is their like ESG score. So they're like 17, and they've got a significant controversy level. They're actually low. So
Jeez.
Apple, regardless of all its grandstanding, is rated pretty low on the ESG score. And of course, this ESG score has some effect on the actual stock price itself and the investor's perception of a good company. At least that's what I've learned over here. So generally, again, to round it all back, the reason why people have been looking at Sweet Baby Inc. is their involvement in a lot of these projects, which for the gamers who are boycotting it appears to be pretty harmful in terms of the writing quality for some of these games. Also that these companies can have more diversity, equity, and inclusion so they can raise their ESG scores and look more palatable for actual investors in the gaming industry. That's pretty much the general understanding and the general story that is being pushed by some of these groups out here. Now look, at the end of the day, I think that for a lot of the games that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked with, and again, to go back to their projects, there have been a lot of successful hitters like God of War Ragnarok, Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2 seems to have gotten pretty relatively great reviews. Obviously, they've got one game in this list here that is absolutely despised by individuals. And again, it's hard to say how much Sweet Baby Inc. has worked with some of these games entirely. I think it's absolutely a very, very, very key thing to talk about some of their members, some of the higher ranking members, making those rather off-color tweets in general.
Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Kotaku jumped in and made an article saying Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. No, one company is enforcing diversity into all your favorite games. So again, right into this article, one of the things they talk about is Sweet Baby Inc. is enforcing diversity. It's happening naturally, they say. So inside here, what they say is, though these kind of social media posts argue that companies like Sweet Baby Inc., because remember, they're not the only company that works in diversity consulting, somehow force game studios to include diverse characters and storyline, the reality is vastly different. Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative design company, meaning most of its work is focused on writing stories and dialogue. They are not a DEI consultancy firm. So again, when they mention this specific sentence right over here, it actually is contradicted by the website itself. I mean, the website says it's founded in 2018. It is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe.
Wow, what a contradiction there is. Okay. Okay. All right. I see. Okay. Yeah, because I don't know too much about this, so I'm trying to like learn as much information about the Sweet Baby Panic or so, or Sweet Baby Inc. I should say.
Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video game industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. I mean, that literally does sound like the definition of a DEI consultancy firm in regards to video games. So even the mass gaming media public out here, right, the mass publications are out there trying to downplay or outright make, in my opinion, improper statements about this situation. So yeah, it's a weird thing to witness, and this is, I guess, what's actually aggravating individuals out there. It almost feels incredibly condescending to anybody that has basic reading skills.
A lot of individuals say this is like Gamergate 2.0, and at the end of the day, all I'm seeing is a group of people who want to vote with their wallet and basically create a list of games that they don't want to support because they're associated with this company, which again, in a free market, you're absolutely allowed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. Are they totally responsible for some of the bad games out there? Again, nobody knows to the degree of what they worked on. And honestly, some of these games that people are criticizing, like the Kill the Justice League nonsense, isn't necessarily bad just because of its writing. It's bad because it's a crap tier live service game. And there ain't no writing or ESG outsourcing that ever had anything to do with that nonsense. But yeah, honestly, I can't say that I quite enjoy this company. Reading some of what their leadership has written on their Twitter accounts is alarming. It really is. And for...
Wait, if I remember correctly... Wait, hold on. Hold on. How many different versions of Green Lantern are there? For like the main protagonist, at least. I see they decided to go with this Green Lantern instead of this Green Lantern. Because for me, when I saw the Kill the Justice League, right? The video game itself, right? The one Green Lantern that I know the most is this one. Like, this is the one that I know the most. I'm not really like a super like well informed in the whole comic book stuff when it comes to like superhero stuff, right? Because I'm not really like that much into superheroes and stuff like that. So but the one common Green Lantern I've seen as like the main protagonist when it comes to like Green Lantern, right? It's usually this one. This is the one that I see the most. This Green Lantern. I usually never see this Green Lantern. The black individual one. I've always seen this one the most compared to him, you know. So that's why when I first saw it or so, because granted, I don't know if that's the actual like a different version of him, right? In some other different comic book or so. Because I'm not like I said, I'm not really too inversed in it, so I can't really say, you know, my own opinion in it, right? But for me, when it comes to Green Lantern stuff, I thought we were gonna see this guy. This guy. I know I saw him in the cartoons, but I have no idea if this is supposed to be like a different version of him, you know? Like, I don't know. Like, that's when I saw the Kill the Justice League, I thought we were gonna see this guy, not the other individual, you know? So I was just kind of like, I was like, huh. I was always thinking, where's that other Green Lantern dude? You know, the other guy, this one. This is the one that I know the most when it comes to like Green Lantern in it on itself. I wish Sage was here to like explain to me on like how many like different iterations of Green Lantern, because he's very well versed in comic books and like superheroes and stuff like that, which I'm like, you know, I don't know too much about, so I can't really say like about it when it comes to like superheroes in it on itself. So yeah. So that's what I thought initially when I thought it was Kill the Justice League. I thought we were gonna see this guy. They are in the same universe? Wait, these two are in the same universe? I used to watch the show? Wait. If they're in the same universe, how come they didn't... How come... Wait. Is he the main protagonist or is he the main protagonist when it comes to, like, the Green Lantern? Because I always see him the most. But who's the main protagonist when it comes to like the Green Lantern though? Like, who do you see the most? Because so far I only see this guy the most compared to, you know, the other individual. They just have different types of Green Lantern. But wasn't he in the Justice League though initially? This guy, this dude right here, the one on the right, not the one in the middle though. The white one is seen more. There's more than one Green Lantern. It's a race. Yeah, but I've seen mostly him though. Like, he's like the poster child when it comes to like the Green Lantern itself. I usually never seen this guy the most. I've seen this guy the most compared to the other Green Lanterns anyways. But when the Green Lantern Association comes to get him, because he wasn't supposed to have the ring. Yeah, because when I saw the Kill the Justice League, right? Like, I was wondering, wait, how come we have this guy? We don't have this guy, you know? Yeah, so I thought the white individual was like the main protagonist, like the main poster child. And I just thought these were like different dimensions of Green Lantern, like different like main character. Like, I'm saying the main character, like as in like the poster child, right? I thought this would be like this is an alternative version of him in a different dimension or something. Because I know comic books sometimes has like different dimension heroes specifically. So That's what I thought initially, you know, because this is the one that I know the most. I've seen this guy the most compared to the other one. When I first saw the black version of him, it was in this one, in this cartoon. I saw him in this one specifically. So smash. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, why isn't the actual like main poster child of the Green Lantern in the Justice League? You know, that's what I always thought. That confuses me just a little bit personally. It's from a Batman series. Oh, okay. Okay, so it is kind of a bit like different version, right? Is it kind of a bit of a different version of him? Question mark. Like I said, I'm not really too. I don't know the whole DC and Marvel, you know, universe and stuff like that. I've only seen like stuff that I seen when I was younger, like from such a long time ago. Because yeah, this is the guy that I've seen the most when it comes to Green Lantern, like. Because when I type in Green Lantern, like you only see him, you know, you see him the most, you know, the white version of him, basically, you know. I hardly ever seen the other individual. Do I think he's cool? Yeah, I think he's cool. But the question is like, did this guy came from Earth as well? Is that like, can you guys confirm, like, you know, my comic book fans, did he came from Earth as well? Or is he from somewhere else? Because I don't know. Like I said, I don't know too much of the lore. So, because I thought when I saw the Kill the Justice League, I thought we were gonna see this version of him getting killed. You know. Yeah. That's what I thought initially. I don't know too much of his background story. I don't know if he's from Earth as well. And then, you know, as far as I'm aware, only one Green Lantern was from Earth and the others are aliens. Oh. Is MILF like mommy? No. Your MILF is my mommy. That's what it means, Cheru. Hey Cheru, how you doing there, hun? But it's been a long time. Okay. Okay, so he's an alien. Okay, all right. Because I know there was I know in the Justice League, I know there was Martian Green, what was it? Martian Green Hunter or Martian Manhunter or whatever his name is. I know he's in the Justice League. I'm surprised we didn't even see him in the Justice League video game, Kill the Justice League. So you're not a MILF? Yes, I am. What are you talking about? I'm talking about your mom is my MILF. What are you talking about? Your mom is my MILF.
For companies like this, I don't mind if there's a DEI company out there, but if you're going to be inclusive and you're going to focus on equity, instead of dividing our people even further, maybe we should all focus on, you know, bringing us together. Versus, again, all those tweets did was serve to divide individuals, and that's where this division is coming from. And it's not something I am ever comfortable ever seeing. And that's pretty much where I'm going to leave things off of. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And hey, if you want to try One Up, our brand new skin cream.
Okay. Having a black main character in your game only because Sweet Baby Inc. made you do it is honestly more racist than not having one at all. If you insult your audience, they probably won't buy your product. As a Latino, the problem is corporation gave these individuals unlimited power with no questioning, and these people do not represent us. They're abusing their power. Yeah, people like this don't want racism to be solved because they've based their entire career around it. A lot of companies seem to be adopting the blame the consumer mentality when their product fails. Yeah, that's also another thing too, is like they blame us, right? Because their game is like failing or it's fucking not doing well, right? You know? Wasn't Green Lantern white? Why is he black now? Cause inclusivity, that's why. Oh, Chiru, thank you for the follower. So, since you followed, because I always do this to every new followers, of course, you can never ever leave the outer realms. But hello, welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay here. But yeah, no, nonetheless though, like it's kind of weird. That's what I thought initially. I thought Green Lantern was white. I've seen him in the other cartoon version of him where he was black, right? But I only seen him the most as being the white one because he came from Earth. You know, that's the reason why. It's because he's a guy that came from Earth. He got the ring, you know, and then he became, you know, one of the Green Lantern people. Like that's like my general basic that I know about like the Green Lantern himself. Like I don't know too much about like, you know, like the whole stuff, you know. So the original Saints Row from 2006 has better diversity than anything today. That's very true. We make games more inclusive. Any competent writer can do that. Being a middleman skimming off the labor isn't admirable. Yeah. Now I know Saga Anderson is Alan Wake. Feels so off. Like this character is so forced. Yeah, cause like at least from like what I'm noticing, right? So basically you're telling me the writer takes his story, right? And goes to this company, and then the company tells them, hey, you need to add more diversity. There's too many white people or something like that. Is that basically is what I'm understanding? I assume you have to like, I assume they like change like the way the character is, right? Or unless like they have to bring it back to the writer, and then they have to rechange that character completely. But then if you rechange that character completely, that means the whole personality has to change with it as well. You know? Ugh, jeez, I don't know. I need to look more into this, to be honest. It seems like at the end of the day, like if they're not harassing anybody, you know, they're just boycotting, you know, the games that they worked on, right? Like, I don't see anything wrong with it because he just said it himself that like the stuff that he looked up and like he looked into, right? He didn't like, he didn't see anything of like harassment and anything. But at the end of the day, remember what Asmongold says, you know, calling the game shit and whatnot and all this other stuff is not harassment, you know. So I don't know. It's so dumb. Like if you're gonna force diversity, at least bring my Lovecraftian brethrens in there. So, what are you boycotting grandma from buying from Starbucks? Oh, shut up. Anyways, I'm gonna look into this a little bit more, and we'll see what's going on, and then I'll come up with like my own opinion with it as well. So far I'm not really seeing anything like, well, like not like saying like anything bad, but like I'm saying like as in like they're kind of like pretty not great, especially like saying the weird white men remarks, right? It's so weird. It's like basically seeing the Uki Violetta thing again, you know? It's very weird, you know? It's kind of like, bro, like what's with why is everyone talking about white men and white people kissing? Like why is this a constant thing that's being brought up? Anyways, that's the end of the video. Anyways, hey man, you know what, if you want to boycott, go right ahead, you know. At the end of the day, you know, I have you know, I'm just gonna play a game if a character is good, you know. If they put in like, I don't know, like a Hispanic character and it's good written in it, like it's not forced or anything like that, or you know, or an Asian character, you know, I'll play it. Fuck. Anyways, I play more Japanese games than I do when it comes to American games. Anyways, so anyways, that's the end of the video. Anyways, peace.